my name's Chloe and I'm going to talk about ancient Egypt. Now, this is kind of confusing, but this is Lower Egypt and this is Upper Egypt. This is where the white crown lives, king. This is where the red crown king lives. And they used to come back and forth through this river and fight. But one day the Upper Egypt king took his crown and then he put it on top of his crown and he said to all the people out there that he is now the king of Upper and Lower Egypt. So, now I'm going to talk about him. This is the white crown, this is the red crown. And these are hieroglyphics. And he is the white king. And I hope to put the hieroglyphics on with my mom, and I hope paint a little bit. And that's all for that picture. And now I'm going to tell you a little story about this. Now, one day there was...
What is this? Is this a real story?
No, this is a fake story that the Egypt people made up because of the river. Let me tell you just a tiny bit more about the river. The river still it floods. It used to
every year.
Every year, people call it was crying. I mean, that it would go out and then the farmers and everyone there would put a little tunnel that the water would come in with dirt and everything.
So that it didn't flood over their crops?
Mm-hmm.
And they put a rock
there. And then they put a rock at the end to block it.
Block it?
Yeah.
Block it.
And
why did they do that?
The water would come in, so over on the dry...
in the dry seasons?
On the dry seasons, they would still have water for them.
And what came up when the river flooded, when the Nile flooded? What came up onto the land? Do you remember the rich soil? What it was called?
Silt.
Yes.
And
what about up at the top of that river? Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, the water splits out to little pieces.
Different channels?
Just different channels. It's up.
And what about that shape that it's in?
And people say that it looks like an upside down triangle.
And what is it called?
A triangle?
No.
Nile Delta.
Yeah, the delta. Why is it called the delta? Do you remember what we talked about? The Greek? The Greek letter?
The D.
Yeah, in the Greek it's a...
triangle.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to talk about this story. This has, and people thought this was the Egypts thought that this was a real story.
The Egyptians.
The Egyptians thought that this was a real story, but it's not.
It was a myth.
It was a myth.
So.
Okay, so here I go. Now, this, okay, one day there was a king and queen, and the king needed to go off.
Do you remember his name?
Osiris needed to go off on a ship, and he let his wife in charge of the land.
What was her name?
Her name was Isis. And while he was gone, his brother Set made a plan that he would try to take over the land. And then so when he came back, his brother called him and he said, how about you come over to my house and let's celebrate your safe back home.
Return home.
But his wife Isis thought that it was a trick and that it would hurt him. That Set was trying to hurt him, but he laughed and he said, "Ha." He said that he's my own brother. Why would he do that to me?
Is this the day that you will do this?
So,
So everybody came to all the gods came to this big feast they are having,
yeah,
right?
all the gods, and they ate as much as they could until they were stuffed. And then,
What did Set? What was his plan? How did he?
Set was all the gods. Seth went, and he came back. He came back with this big, large coffin, and he said, whoever, all the gods were suffering over it, they really wanted it. So Seth said, whatever god fits in here, he'll let them keep it. So here comes this one, it doesn't fit. Here comes this one, it doesn't fit. But the gods didn't know that Set had it planned. He ordered it very special that it would only fit Osiris, so he could trap him. So then Osiris got in, and he got down so deep that when he was so deep, Set slammed the door and walked in, throwed him in the Nile River, and then Isis went on a trip to go find him. When she finally found him, she opened it up, but he was dead. So she started sobbing, and this is kind of weird, but the Nile River started to cry too. So, then he wrapped him in.
Who wrapped him?
Isis wrapped him in. What's it called?
Some linen.
Some linen.
So Osiris was what? The first what?
The first mummy. And then when she was finally done, he came back to life. And the river, and that's why they say that the river always cries.
Or overflowed.
Overflows.
Each year.
Each year.